Now we're going to add a switch for toggling the color mode. So back to our project. Here in the components folder, let's add a new file called color mode switch. We create a component. Now in this component, we're going to use a horizontal stack because we want to have a switch, and right next to that, we want to have a label. So we add an hstack component. Inside this component, we add a switch, which is also defined in the same module. And right next to that, we add a text component. Again, make sure not to pick the interface. Instead, pick the text component defined in Chakra. Okay? So we add the text, and here we say dark mode. Now, to work with color modes, we have to use a custom hook defined in Chakra. So on the top, we import a hook called use color mode. Okay? Now we call that hook up here. This returns an object with two properties. We destructure that object and grab a function called toggle color mode and a property called color mode, which represents the current mode. Now, here we're going to initialize our switch. We set is checked to an expression. If color mode is dark, then we're going to check the switch. And here we should also handle the change event. We simply set this to toggle color mode. So all the functionality is already built for us. There is nothing special we have to do here, okay? So here we have a component. Now let's remove this import statement. We don't need it. Now let's add this component to our navbar. So we go to navbar and replace the text with color mode switch. And that means we should remove the text component on the top. Good. Now let's test our application. So here's our switch. Currently we are in the dark mode. That's why the switch is checked. But the color is not quite visible because of these background colors. So let me remove them. So back to the app component. Let's remove the background color for the side panel and the main area. Good. Now look. All right. It's still hard to tell if the switch is checked or not. So I'm going to change the color of the switch to green. So back to our switch component. Here we set color scheme to green. Now, okay, that's slightly better. So currently we are in the dark mode. If we click it, now we go to the light mode. If we click again, we go back to the dark mode. Beautiful. Now, the last thing we want to do here is push the switch to the right side. So let's go back to our navbar component. Here's our horizontal stack. Here we can set justify content to space between. This works exactly like a flex container, okay? With that, the switch is moved to the right side, but currently it's so close to the edge of the screen. So we need to add some padding here. So back to this component, we apply a padding of 10 pixels. Now take a look. Okay, that's better. So now it's time to review our code and commit it to the repository. So here I'm going to say build the color mode switch.